The internet is getting messy, you guys. There's a lot going on this week with a bunch of different ways that we're going to be interacting with the internet in the coming years. Immediately, some stuff that is changing right now and stuff that's going to be changing in the year to come. One of the big things that we're talking about is how AI bots will now outnumber humans in the next year. There is some meta court case that just got settled with over $35 million. Is that how much it was? No, even more. It was $375 million that Facebook Meta has to pay because of some internet stuff. We also have over in the UK, there is Apple age verification that's going into place. There is Reddit ID there, and then there's a bunch of other creator stuff. But I'm touching on the internet things because, like, as creators, it used to be you used to go on, you used to post, and you used to be able to just kind of like put it out there and it existed on the internet, right? Now we are continuingly, and we've talked about this in several different episodes, more and more and more, you are posting to different fractions of the internet, whether that is a different platform, whether that is a different country, whether that is a different age bracket. We'll be talking about that. We'll also got some other art news, like a Sprite rebrand on the cusp, which, like, I don't even know if it's really very rebrandy. It seems very minimal, so I want to hear your guys' thought on it. Under Armour sent a cease and desist to a company that they think looks too similar to their logos. There's some Instagram updates with being able to reorganize your carousels, some exciting Photoshop updates available on the web, and then with like AI agents. We'll be doing our font of the week, among a bunch of other stuff. We've got a lot to get through. We always start off with the news, so let's start off with the news. We teased it at the very beginning, and I'm going to continue to just kind of like call it out here. So I promise we won't stand too much on it. But New Mexico just handed Meta its first courtroom defeat over child safety, and the rest of the country is watching. This is coming to us from Connie Loizos from TechCrunch. It says that a jury in Santa Fe on Tuesday ordered Meta to pay $375 million in a civil penalty. The company misled consumers about the safety of its platforms and endangered children. In a 2023 undercover investigation, they found that investigators were able to create decoy accounts and pose as users younger than 14, and then they were sent bad and inappropriate material and also solicited for inappropriate things. So this showed that actually the company staff and outside child safety experts repeatedly raised alarms about the dangers, and they were ignored. So why are we reporting on this on File New? This is going to completely rock the bedrock of social media. Obviously, Meta is going to appeal to this, and they're going to probably then follow up with their own legislation in response to it. I know Mark Zuckerberg had his own testimony on the case itself, and it became public. But this is going to radically change the way that the internet responds to these big social platforms. And as creators, we are posting to these platforms. A lot of people are making a lot of money off of younger users being able to see their content or being able to get more looks, likes, shares, reposts. They're all coming from a certain gigantic section of the country, especially in America, and it'll be interesting to see how that changes in the coming years. Across the pond over in the UK, there is a new update to iOS that we're all getting, but it is applying to the Britain's Online Safety Act, and this is coming to iOS 26.4. It says that the Online Safety Act requires tech giants to verify that users are adults before giving unrestricted access to all available content. So that means that there are some apps that are designed for 18 plus in the App Store. Therefore, they have to, as a whole blanket sweep, see if everyone is over 18 for the App Store. This can be verified with an ID. It can be verified with a credit card. It can also be verified with the length of time that you've had an Apple account. So Ben Lovejoy is saying that it was pretty easy to be able to get it all set up and running. But once again, that is another portion of the internet that is going to be changing. Famously, Reddit is kind of known for its anonymity and the idea that people are on there and they're saying things and they're not sure what's going on. Last week or the week before, we reported on the shutdown of Dig, because Dig is kind of the sister sibling of Reddit back in the early 2010s. They tried to come back like a month or two ago. They already shut down because they were running into an issue with bots. So Reddit is weighing the identity verification problem methods to combat its bot problem. And one of the ways that they are trying to think about maybe approaching it is either having Face ID or Touch ID, meaning that like if you have a Reddit account, you maybe not necessarily have to tie your full identity to the account to say that I'm Ryan Selvy and this is my account. But it could be like, I'm Ryan Selvy and here's a thumbprint of mine to prove that I am human, and it would be able to go through. They're saying that they are exploring different options, and they have not necessarily nailed down the idea of if that's going to be an ID processor or not. But they are exploring different ways to verify that a user is human. And that obviously comes with all its own security concerns, its own privacy concerns, with not even just things from like governments and like ideas of overreach from a legislative point, but also from a point of like, what if there's a security breach? What if there is nefarious actors that are then able to access this data and then are able to tie it to you or tie it to what you're using online? A lot of the times being online has been anonymity to begin with, and it's interesting to see that kind of like stroll through. But the reason a lot of this is all coming up is because of a new report that came out, and that's saying that AI bots will outnumber humans on the internet by next year. And this is from Cloudflare CEO. And Cloudflare is a gigantic backbone to the internet. It is the place where you are able to actually like host different web traffic. It is headquartered in San Francisco, and it provides a range of internet services, including content delivery network services, cybersecurity, DDoS mitigation, which is when people come and like raid your site and just like get it shut down, and even domain registration. So these are people that are very familiar with the internet and the backbone of the internet and seeing how things are going. I see in the chat, Cody is saying the dead internet theory is real. Dead internet theory is an idea that came up number of years ago that was saying that basically there is more people online that are not real that you're interacting with than real people. It started as an online conspiracy theory, but now as AI and different chatbots and automations are coming in, it is no longer conspiracy theory and more of a reality. It says that actually AI bots will typically go to a website thousands of times more than a normal human would be, even if it's like looking for something just to perform a task. In recent weeks and months, there has been a lot of AI agents coming online that are now using different instructions to go and perform tasks without human intervention at all. So they're just kind of like perusing the internet, doing their own thing. For a long time, the internet was about 20% bot traffic. Google was like the big one of it because they were indexing it, but there were also people who were doing different things like hackers and spammers and all different things that were going around. But now with this, it is suspected that by 2027, the amount of bot traffic online will exceed the amount of human traffic that's online. Why does this matter for creators? This matters for creators in huge capacities. Think about the things that you're posting and the people that are interacting with it. How do you know that what you're interacting with is actually another human that's interacting with it? What does that mean for different analytics that you're giving to clients when you're saying we posted this thing and it got this amount of impressions? Were those impressions human? Did anyone actually see it? When you're looking even at your web data and you're looking at like Google's analytics to be able to see your website, to see how many people are using the services that you're creating and you're designing, if you don't know which ones are bots and which ones are humans, that's going to change everything up. How do you then associate with marketing? How do you work with any of this? I don't know what the solution is, because to one end, you see the downfall of sites like Dig. You also get into privacy concerns like Reddit, and then you say like, I don't want to have to upload my ID in order to use the internet, but at the same time, I don't want to just talk to bots all day. So it's interesting to see that the internet is just floundering and trying to figure this out, and trying to then see what the best foot forward is. But anonymity might be something that we just associate with the early 2000s, and at some point it becomes kind of like something where it's like that's just something you don't necessarily associate with the internet anymore. Which makes a great transition actually into the anonymity of, and I feel like I can't say that word, anonymity. Paul saying, do we know Ryan Selvy is real? Oh, don't even get me started. I am not dodging the AI Ryan Selvy allegations. It is something that I'm constantly running to on my own social media. People think I'm AI. But I am very much a real person. See, I can turn my head. We're here on Adobe Live. It's great. Banksy, you guys know him as the famous artist that is actually known for his anonymity. And you can see that just this week, actually, Reuters posted a in-depth analysis and investigation into the search for Banksy. This has been a decades-long search, and basically they came up with somebody. I decided not to link to these articles because I don't know how I feel about it. It is, you can see here, none of these screenshots actually say his name. If it's something that you want to look into, you can. And how is this going to affect the idea of Banksy? Like, obviously, so much of his stuff was like breaking and entering and doing things under the covert idea that people didn't know it was him. Now, like, he spray paints a wall, someone's not happy with it, they're going to be able to go and hit up this artist. Also, some of the allure and the interest to it added a lot of valuable leverage and weight to the idea that it was this artist that was invisible, no one knows. And now it's kind of something that's out there. I don't know if people care enough. People don't care. But basically, he was arrested in Manhattan in the early 2000s in the meatpacking district. Back when the meatpacking district used to be, like seedy and kind of dangerous. It's so funny to think that now because I could never afford anything in meatpacking district if I like sold my kidney. So it's really weird and interesting to think of just like 25 years ago, it being like a place where he could just like go up and spray paint stuff, and that was kind of normal. And also, Oliver says, didn't we establish a long time ago that Banksy isn't just one person? That was also a theory. And it kind of is there. He definitely works with people, but it definitely has been kind of nailed down to one person. Wade is saying, leave Banksy alone, which I feel it. Also, hello to a bunch of people in the chat. K-Bit is saying, pigeons are part of Flocker. We'll be talking about pigeons, actually, because there is let's do it. We're talking about New York. Let's keep talking about New York. This is a funny story. I don't know how much it applies to creators as much as it just applies to artists and the idea of public art and the way that people interact with things. There's this gigantic pigeon. When I say gigantic, I mean like literally gigantic. On the High Line. The High Line is a park that was originally a railroad track for different freight trains coming in and out of the city that was decommissioned and then turned into a park. That's been a park for many years now. And one of the rotating art installations that was installed for over 18 months was this giant pigeon called Dinosaur. You can see how big it is. Like, you see the size of this human, you see the size of this pigeon. When you're driving down the street and you're looking up at the High Line, you can see this gigantic pigeon. This is not photoshopped. This is the real picture. By the way, all of these pictures are taken by Timothy. Oh, I got to pull that up so that I make sure that we can give him credit, because I want to make sure that we don't steal from artists. That's super important. All of these links obviously are always available in the Raindrop, which will be available in the description. I'm also going to take the time to quickly go ahead and put it in the chat for you guys. So if you guys need it, you guys have it as well. Also, seeing you guys over on Behance as well. Good to have you here. Bot problem. How can I get them to go to my website? Clicks matter. That's funny. But we can see here from the Raindrop that the photographer for this one, where are you, Dinosaur? Dinosaur, where are you? It's Jurassic Park. These are taken by someone named Timothy Schneck. Okay, Timothy Schneck. So thank you to Timothy Schneck for your photos. They're on the official Highline website. But basically, it was a gigantic, hyper-realistic sculpture of a pigeon cast in aluminum and hand-painted humorous sculpture, 21 feet above the platform that it was on. And in early April 2026, which is like just a week away, you guys, means the dinosaur's going away. There were petitions online. There was a farewell party that sold out of RSVPs for the program, among others. And so New Yorkers are sad to see it go. And I love it. I don't want it to go away. I understand that they want to cycle art through it, but I feel like they should just make this an exception and keep the pigeon, because the pigeon is beloved by all. It's in music videos. It's in the back of countless pictures. How do you guys feel? Do you guys feel like we should keep the art installation up, or do you think that we should keep the art space cycling and find a new place for it? I'm seeing Alyssa saying that this statue is really great for the brand of pigeons. Yeah, no, work on pigeons, man. Pigeons need their PR. They are a very interesting bird. They're very smart. Very, very smart in a way that, like, I saw some really crazy stuff online. Wade saying keep art alive. Winter's also saying keep the pigeon. Oliver saying save the pigeon. So lots going Wade, I know, messaged me before the stream with some suggestions for some articles that he wanted to see covered. And one of the big ones that's taking the internet by storm is that yesterday, Sora from OpenAI, which was the TikTok-style AI video generator that was really, really big last year at the end of the year, so much so it was like #1 in the App Store for a period of time. But as you can see here by this graph, the interest and the accessibility and downloading of it has just completely nosedived over the last several months, to the point where people had like completely forgotten about it. So they announced on X yesterday that they said, we're saying goodbye to Sora. To everyone who created with Sora, shared it, and built community around it, thank you. What you made with Sora mattered, and we know this news is disappointing. We'll share more soon, including timelines for the app and API details on preserving your work from the Sora team. The Verge reported on this as well, with Richard Lawler saying that OpenAI's video generation is going away. But with that, also the deal with Disney that was announced in December, only a few months ago, that it would invest $1 billion with a B in OpenAI to license its characters for use within Sora. It was a controversial announcement. People felt weird about it. There was also a new different part of Disney Plus that existed with the idea of this AI-generated content with the characters that were given to it from Disney. That is also being shuttered because this is being shuttered in itself. At the same time, when they were announcing this, they also, OpenAI raised $10 billion from investors. There is no direct line of like what is next, why this is happening. It was kind of unknown. There are different services and platforms and things that are built on the back of Sora that now will just no longer exist. And they will be discontinued. And so it's interesting to see that you don't, I saw an article somewhere, I forget who said it, but it was like saying, don't build your product on borrowed sand. Always diversify your assets. Make sure that you don't have some sort of like all your eggs in one basket, right? I also see that Reverb Mike is saying RIP. There we go. And yeah, also interested, didn't they steal from Disney? No, they had a collection, a collaboration with Disney to be able to identify and work with what they saw as a partnership. So interesting to see where that goes. But let's continue to talk about different things that OpenAI is doing. And one of the things that you can now do is you can actually, inside of the chatbot, you can use Adobe Photoshop. So I'm interested to see how you guys feel about this, if this is something that you guys would use. I know a lot of us are designers and creators that are very familiar with the actual use case of Photoshop. This is something that actually launched and is live now. I was able to even hop into it yesterday and be able to add it to a chat. It says that Adobe Photoshop for ChatGPT makes powerful photo editing simple and free for everyone. Just upload a photo and transform in seconds. Simply change the backgrounds, add or remove objects, apply creative effects, or fine-tune lighting to color. Intuitive tools to help you bring your vision to life with no editing experience required. From profile pictures to social posts to favorite snapshots, edit your images exactly how you want just by chatting. So I thought the best way to show this off and to explore it was to literally just do this in real time. And what we can do is I'm gonna smile. Is this good? Oh wait, but I can't screenshot it because my thing is off. Let me change my settings real quick so that I can also update it so that you can also say, where you go? You guys don't even know what I'm doing because it's hiding from you. See, boom, that's what I was doing. See, I was changing it so I could see OBS when I like screenshot and stuff. So we're going to take this and I'm going to copy it. What a upsetting picture of me, to be completely honest, if we're being real. And then we're going to go to chatgpt.com. And I am going to pull this up. I'm going to add Photoshop. We're going to bring this in. I'm going to say here. And I'm going to say, make it look like or change the background to make it look like I'm at the beach. And let's see what it says here. Let's see where it goes. It's analyzing my image. I specifically said for it to be in Photoshop. It gives this little idea that Photoshop is there. It will then render it through. And you can even do this even if you don't have a Creative Cloud membership. This is all something that, like, there are obviously a limited amount of things. Oh, you guys can't even see what I'm doing because I forgot to turn back. So, oop, there it is. See? It all exists. I have here, and it is then now working in real time to be able to edit that. We can always come back and check on it, just in case it is showing. But I also want to go ahead and check in on chat to see what you guys are saying. Look at that. Look at that. It says I swapped your background to the beach scene, where you keep the lighting and framing natural, so it feels like a real shot, not a cutout. I like how they also decided to keep the chair there as well, to to also put the sun, and like, okay, I'm also going to burn to a crisp because I always need sunscreen. It talks about what it did, and how it also decided to choose everything. It says that it's shot with wind, hair, sun flare, and color grading. And it also gives you an option to explore more prompt ideas with Photoshop for ChatGPT, which then it will also kind of lead you to for things like replace the background, remove distractions, change or add something new, blur background. These are all things that then, yeah, if you don't necessarily have a Creative Cloud subscription, but you do use ChatGPT, you have the capabilities to do so. And Oliver says, that's just not a long-winded way of using replace background. Yes, but that's coming to you as somebody who also is a creator that knows your way around Photoshop. I think that is interested to see how many different people use it, and go from there. Virgil wants to know where my sun hat was. Winter's laughing at the fact that I was on a beach, but I kept the chair as well. Mike also wants me to have a nice frothy beverage as well. Winter says that they're not feeling it. So yeah, it's always good to hear back from you guys what you're interested in. Let's take a little bit of a detour and talk a little bit about Instagram here. This is a exciting update that came right from the creators' reels themselves. And what this is a update to carousels on Instagram. You can see that there is a way to now go back in, and you're able to reorder your carousels in Instagram. So up to this time being, like when you posted something for good, and now they are actually allowing you to go in, and after you post, you can not only go through and reorder photos and videos in the carousel, but you can also even delete things, which I think is interesting as far as like, yes, it's good for quality control and the idea that like maybe you post something that you didn't want, but you want to keep the rest of the post. But I think you could also do something really cool here where like maybe you do some sort of reveal and like you're like, I will keep this up in this portion of the carousel for the first 1,000 posts, and then I'll delete this one slide, and then it will then exist from there. You cannot upload something after it's already uploaded, so like you can take things away, but you can't put things back up. And it also says that you can keep the conversation going by reordering your carousel. And that means that you don't have to start from scratch. I also don't know how this affects different things, like when you're scrolling, sometimes Instagram will reserve your content to the audience if they did not interact with on the first slide. So then when they're then once again sliding again, if they know that that is an account that they like to interact with, but you didn't interact with that post, they'll show you the second frame. If you were to reorganize it and move it around, I don't know how that will change things. So Koya's here. He says that he feels like my generated pic makes me look a little bit more waxy and shiny, which, yeah, I mean, that's also very true for me on the beach, though. I turned into a very sweaty, waxy guy. Since we're over here, actually just in the artboard itself, let's talk a little bit about this exciting update to the Kylie Minogue music video. And you're like, why are we talking about Kylie Minogue's music video on File New, Ryan? Well, if you're not familiar with it, and I also don't know how much I am allowed to show because I really do not want to mess up Kylie and my friendship, because obviously I respect her work, and this is her music video from 2002 where she walks in a circle 4 times, and with it, each different rotation, she continues to go on top of the same previous thing. And this was filmed on an actual London street. It was filmed in 2002, so this is far before we have our different matte and rotoscoping tools that we have in After Effects now with like AI approach. It's filmed on this thing called a Milo. This is obviously a much newer one, but for the time when it was filmed, you can see that it is right here, and they're actually just kind of going around in a circle. As she makes her full circle around the whole piece. It is a thing where she like even goes around this kind of pole, and there's all these background actors, and then she kind of runs into herself, and then it starts to just continuously show her interacting with herself, to the point where then at a point there's 4 of her walking around. The director, who is Michael Gondry, had her actually change the song to be able to better fit the 4-minute spot, so that he could do 4 perfect circles. And you can see that all of the creators also had to then keep in mind this kind of correction and moving things around. Just this week, Chanel brought the director back, the original director back, Michael Gondry, to then create a homage to it. You can see this is Margot Robbie. You can see they even put Kylie in as a little Easter egg here. And while it is much, much shorter, and they immediately kind of hop into it, this was filmed on a soundstage in Los Angeles to look like a Paris street. You can see they're doing the reference to the cute little like going under the arm thing, and obviously they have a lot more tools at their disposal. Also, putting on a soundstage makes it a lot easier. But it was cool to see that they went back to the original director. They were able to revisit this. There's a whole write-up on the idea of how they created the original music video, if you guys want to check out. It was 7 people, 5 of which who had never done special effects before, and they just rotoscoped for 2 weeks. It was grunt work and just worked and worked and worked and worked. They know that they originally had to make it look less perfect because of hair and different stuff were issues that then like it just didn't look authentic. Sounds like my personal nightmare, but one of the best music videos of all time, if you ask me. And it's really cool to be able to see that. I'm sure there's a lot of Gen Alpha, Gen Z people who have never either heard this song or even seen the music video, and I'm glad that it has kind of a resurgence to be able to bring the art form back. Clever says that she kind of likes creepy giraffe boom camera tricks, high tech or low tech. Yes, I mean, this took a lot of coordination, took a lot of people working in tandem and nobody messing up, because as soon as somebody messed up, like even if they dropped something, when they came back around for the 4th thing, they had to fix it. Which, yeah, very, very cool, very impressive. We did that. Oh, WWDC. So this is the Worldwide Developer Conference for Apple. This is where they normally update their iOS. They make announcements about it. They recently announced that it's going to be June 8th to June 12th. They are using this really blurry, bright, kind of diffused imagery for the messaging. These are the 2 ones that they have here. It takes place at Apple headquarters, which is this gigantic circle. They put it around the WWDC logo. You can see that it's illuminating both sides here. What I thought was interesting is that when it's turned on its side, it's very clearly Apple Park, but the fact that it's so bright also looks like a ring light, does it not? Right? Like, I don't know what that means towards what they're going to announce. Sometimes they like to put little Easter eggs into the idea of what they're going to. They mentioned that they're going to be revealing the latest tools, frameworks, and features. And then, of course, they said they're also going to be focusing on AI. They recently did a partnership with Google to then be able to use their model and be able to maybe integrate that into Siri. Which, as everyone knows, has been very unsuccessful in the last decade of usability. So they're really trying to get ahead of that. And then our last news story of the day. No, I lied. Yes, it is. The last news story of the day before we hop into Rebrand is these personal models that are coming from Adobe. So this is coming from the Adobe blog. It says Adobe Firefly expands video and image creation with new AI capabilities and custom models. When you say custom models, what does that mean? That means that you can use your own work in means to create an AI model, and it's not training Adobe's systems. It stays private. It stays with you. It only trains it in your specific capacity to create things that look like your work. They said that it's going to work specifically really strongly in illustration styles, in characters, and photographic styles. It's going to help preserve details like stroke weight, color palettes, lighting, and character features across generations, explore new creative directions without losing visual consistency. And this is available to people to be able to create more things that feel like their work, that is trained with their work, privately trained on their work, not for the broader Adobe being. And this is also alongside being able to pick between other things. I know that was a big criticism of AI in recent years, is the idea they're like, I don't want to work on things that are trained on other people's work. I only want consensual work. This is something where it's like it is training on your work and the things that you are giving consent to it, and you are then saying, I want to have this. So interesting to see. I have not played with it yet. I am very interested to see if it were able to make things that I make. And I also wonder if it makes something that I don't like, if I'm like, what does that just say about me, right? I don't know. But I could see that this could be really helpful if you're maybe stuck in a rut and maybe you can't, approach something differently, and you want to get a different variation of it. Like even if I was drawing something and then I was like, just like get out of my own way, and I could have it generate something, and then I could then maybe draw based off of that, right? So I think that this could be used in many different ways. As normal, I wouldn't maybe have something like a like client-facing thing that I would maybe give to them, but to each their own, right? Let's then hop on over into Rebrand, when we talk about a bunch of different brands that are updating throughout the industry, things that are working well, things that are just announced, and get your guys' idea of how it's going. So, Rebrand. Sprite, you guys know it as the lemon lime drink that has taken the world by storm in recent years. And it has been rebranded, kind of, maybe a little, sort of. This is coming from Creative Block with Rosie Hilder when they're talking about the new Sonic identity and stuff. It's saying that they are really associating Sprite with basketball and street style and music, which I feel like was really a big part of Sprite and its branding, maybe early 2000s. Since then, it kind of fizzled to a bunch of different stuff. There's also been the recent immersion and proliferation. I don't know if I'm using the right words here. Presence of a bunch of kind of healthier sodas and different ways that are like created to kind of combat the idea of sugary soda. And so they also have to go up against that. So now they're switching it up where they're going to have the vertical typeface on cans rather than horizontal. They also are creating a Sonic identity with something that goes along with it. We're talking about a few Sonic identities today. But I went over to 1,000 Logos and I pulled their brand history. You can see this is the one that they're quote unquote rebranding from. So much so that it's so subtle. Like the only thing that I'm really seeing as a significant call out is the fact that they're bringing in the lemon and lime. It's something that I think was really present for a lot of their branding in history, and people associate the lemon and lime. And so I think it was smart to bring it back. But it is really interesting to see, like, there's always these kind of announcements of like being like an all new look, like ultimate refreshment, like it is culture, it is an icon, and like beautiful video, looks great, looks nice. I'm just like, it's still Sprite. I don't know if it's necessarily making the waves that it is particularly kind of claiming it is. The photography that they're going for is obviously high energy. It looks like they took a picture and then they cranked up the clarity slider on it, which I think can work well for being able to look at it and be like, oh, that looks like a Sprite picture. But I do think that it is a really interesting, I don't know, interesting way that they always announce it. But let's also look at the Sonic branding, and I want to make sure that you guys can hear it before I press play. And that is going to be this. It's a little short, so I'll play it one more time. I think, if anything, that is probably the most successful. Sonic branding is becoming really, really important. We talk about it all the time, especially with TikToks and Reels, and the idea of being able to add it to how things are just kind of like constantly playing in the background. If you can have that auditory connection, it's really, really big. Kind of like jingles were in the 1900s. And I say 1900s is like, actual early 1900s, like radio shows and stuff. Clever says, still lovely, but still don't drink it. And Purple says that they are on their app currently, their Sprite app. Alyssa likes the Sprite font. Yes, it is refractive, which is it's pretty cool. I like how it's like curved into stuff. I like the U and what does the Q look like? The Q looks pretty cool. Lowercase is nice as well. They add some variants to kind of the stem here so that you can, even if you flip it, even for like dyslexia or whatever, you'd be able to tell what's a P and what's a Q. I can't see them using it in too much of like huge amounts, but it is nice to be able to see them like taking that and being able to then have it alongside this other very simple font, and then it really kind of gives the idea. When I look at it, I immediately say, that's Sprite type. So that is definitely successful. So I think that it is like, good job, guys. You're doing what you need to do, but I also don't think that it is reinventing any wheel. 1900s, get off my lawn, says Clever. Winter says that it also is a nice font. Also, Kendall is saying that they like the type update. Also wondering if they updated the P and the E a little bit. Did they? They might have. I don't know. They look super dang similar. Yeah, maybe like the little intersection here is updated a little bit. But to me, it's like, it doesn't even almost like warrant like a rebrand announcement as much as it is kind of like, oh, we just kind of updated this. Since we were talking about Sonic branding, I wanted to also play this one for you guys. It's from Ellie Goulding. Remember her? We're like talking about like Kylie Minogue and Ellie Goulding on today's show, which is so funny. She recently worked with the World Wildlife Fund to create a Sonic logo. This is coming from Georgia Cognan on Creative Block, and they teamed up to create a new Sonic identity that is based on the bioelectric signals inside bamboo. What? Ellie's voice acting as Mother Nature and singing a 3-note rallying cry. So let's listen to it. Gotta reload. Give me a sec. I wish that I could like hear you guys, because I'd be like, I want to just hear you guys in chat tell me what you think it's gonna sound like, and if it's anything like it ends up being. So here we go. And once again, we'll do that for a second time. So the things that I like is the whoop, 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 and then also that last part was whoop. I think that like, I think it's successful. When you hear it, the singing of Mother Nature could be here or there. I mean, it could be Ellie. It could be literally anyone. Winter says, what? Oliver says, okay. And K-Bit saying, that's a gnar. Corn, thank you. Also, Alyssa saying, give some likes to the video. Appreciate that. Also, Clever is putting in the panda. The panda is iconic. I mean, WWF has a incredibly successful logo. And in a way that it is immediately understandable what it is. It's not like anything else. Nobody else has a panda logo like that. When you look at, it's the WWF. So we'll see if the Sonic branding also then, works with it. I'm going to go in the meantime. We're going to have a poll for Font of the Week. I know we're also running close on time. We're always running close on time. I'm going to say WWF Sonic branding. And I'm just going to say yay or nay in the chat, and we'll come back to it in just a few minutes. But if you want to join that poll, make sure you are on the YouTube page. We're going to come back to the Under Armour one because I want to have a poll about that one. So we're going to run over to this West Village. More New York stuff. Very New York heavy today. Internet heavy, New York heavy. What else can you say? So I brought up a image of New York City for you guys. Whenever I report on anything New York City, I just always like to even just show you guys kind of where we're talking about. So if you're looking for Times Square and stuff, that's going to be all up here. If you are looking for Madison Square Garden, it's over here. So that's when you come into the city. That's also where Penn Station is. So if you ever take a train into the city, that is right here. Empire State Building's right here. You have Chelsea, which is like the arts district. Financial district with like Wall Street and everything is down here. Lower East Side, that's where all of the college kids go out to drink and stuff. You have West Village over here. So obviously it's on the west side. And it is a connection of streets that actually even has Stonewall. So you guys ever heard the story of Stonewall? That is where it is located. It is down in the West Village. It is like post-gentrification. So it is something like It's stupid rich. Like, it's so, like, I go there, I walk around with my mom's like, you should live here, and I'm like, yeah, okay. um and it is these streets that are not based on the grid. You can see that the grid comes down, and the grid then kind of switches off and gets into chaos down here on the bottom. West Village is kind of the beginning of that craziness, and they have lots of these triangular blocks and triangular streets. They recently their Saint Urbain was hired to work on some branding for the village and work on an identity system for the partnership that then kind of like adds some funding and does different things in the neighborhood with different local businesses. And of course, as you would imagine, they've got the funds to do it. It is really beautiful. They are leaning really into the idea of highlighting people, businesses, and community activity rather than dominating them. And they're also talking about how there is a kind of cattywampus way about kind of the branding and how things move around, because all of the streets are not entirely grid-like the rest of the not the rest of, but a big portion of the city. And they're saying that they took inspiration from the late 1960s, early 70s American vernacular typography found on neighborhood posters, handset signage, and letterpress prints. They were slightly irregular curves, generous weight, and a sense of pressure in shapes give the wordmark a tactile quality. You can see that they're using these interesting shapes of here that kind of are reminiscent of the streets, and they're using that to frame their photos. They're also using the craziness of the type to work on different kind of layers and directions of type to be able to also really hammer in that idea. I like the motion design that they have with it kind of like moving all over the place, because it is very disorganized and crazy. And yeah, Alyssa's like, is this going to be a thing in New York City? Like, all neighborhoods get official branding identity? I don't know. It's weird because it's like my neighborhood doesn't have, I mean, I guess we do kind of have. Alyssa, you and I have actually kind of branding, but it's not to this degree. This is obviously, I think, like obviously privately funded with the idea of it being the partnership. And since it is a super rich neighborhood, they have the money to do it. But very pretty branding. Interested to see it in person. When I see it in person, I will go ahead and I will take a picture for you guys and I will put it on the Discord. But let's look at that. Then looking back at the poll here, we have the Sonic branding, yay or nay. It looks like 57% of you are saying yay for it. 43% of you are saying nay for it. So I'm going to end that poll because I want to pull up another one here. And this is a legal dispute that is happening from Under Armour, which, as you guys know, is an athletic brand, and it is a clothing company that is being sent a cease and desist called what is it called? I forget what company it's called. See, that's also a problem. I don't even know who it is. But the one on the left is the company that is getting the cease and desist, and the icon on the right is Under Armour. Do you guys think that this is valid? I'm going to say does Under Armour have a point? And I'm just going to say yes or no. And I'm interested to hear if you guys think that these logos are too similar, if the company on the left should change their logo, or if Under Armour is kind of overreaching. Just as a quick, like I said, I put up a poll on YouTube, so I want to hear from you guys. But just from a quick glance at the chat, it looks like Clever is saying that it's close enough for concern, but Oliver says they don't look the same. Purple saying that they're not confused by the two. So I'm going to let that run for just a little bit, and then we can look at it. I know we are strapped for time. We've got about 10 minutes left before we then move on to CANLA. I want to also take a look at this exciting poster that was posted by a friend of ours, Brand Inquirer, on Instagram. The FIFA World Cup, it's happening from June 11th to July 19th. Between Canada, Mexico, and USA, has unveiled their official poster. It is the first in history designed by 3 different artists. So it is these different artists. We have Carson Ting, Minerva GM, and Hank Willis Thomas, who combine their styles in a collage illustration centered on a player reflecting football's unique power to unite the world. And so what it looks like is you can see the 3 different ones here. You have Carson's work. You also have Hank's work. you also have Minerva's work. And they have 3 different styles. You can also see overlaid on top of it, they have kind of reorganized a bunch of the countries and continent to then make up parts of the different things that kind of then unite everything. Internet comments were not super nice. The internet comments were actually quite aggressive about this. They did not like it. People said that it was hard to look at, that they appreciated each artist's style and the concept of bringing everything together, but in reality, their styles didn't necessarily bring together. I also didn't fully clock the countries fully at the very beginning. I saw this and I was like, why does it look like the Mexico outline is in the America section? Like, they're not as tied to where they are, which is kind of beautiful in its own way, because then you're like, oh, it's all coming together and it's the thing that ties it together. But then, when you have kind of like the American flag down here and it's so close to it, like, what is that? What is the association of moving things around? I think, if anything, maybe this green one is probably the most successful as far as clarity and working in the poster, because I think that it doesn't compete too much with the white because it's so flat. But I thought it was interesting. Alyssa says, "It's not for the average set of eyes, I say with love." Yeah. No, for sure. And it's also like, none of the work is bad, right? Like, it's never like any of these illustrations, like, I am like saying is not good. These artists are very talented, and they don't deserve criticism in that sense. I just think, as far as the art direction goes, as the creation of this poster, I don't think if it's necessarily the strongest that it could be, right? And so it's interesting to see that. So, I am seeing Pote Del Magdala saying, wow, super design. Winter likes it. Clever saying, go by your foot. So definitely mixed reactions. So some of you guys really like it, and I love to hear that. And I love to disagree with you guys, because also all of these things always are labor of loves to people, and people really work hard on it. So it never feels good to tell that I don't like things. Now, I do want to quickly look at this again one more time for the Under Armour, and just look at the poll. The poll with 19 votes says that 68% of you say no, Under Armour doesn't have a part, and 32% of you say yes, they do have a point. So verdict is still out. I will keep you guys updated as if things change and as things develop. But just goes to show you that, like, it's always important to look at your logo, squint, ask others if it reminds them of anything else, and to go from there. So I'm going to end that poll, and then we're going to take a look at a section of the show that we always look at called Font of the Week. Font of the Week is our weekly segment where we take a look at 3 different typefaces from Adobe Fonts, and then we look at like their use cases and a little bit about them, and then we put it up to you guys to vote on the one that you think is the winner of the Font of the Week. This week we have 3, I like to think, pretty different typefaces. We have a Brill, Program, and Syncopa. And what it is we have... Let's see here. I'm going to start this poll up here, Font of the Week. And I'm going to put these 3 down, and as we're going to quickly kind of walk through each one. And then by the end of the show today, we'll be able to identify which one is the Font of the Week. And we'll give it a little crown, this little crown right here. And from there, we will then check it out. So first one is a Brill. It comes to us from Jose Scaglione and Veronica Buren from Type Together, who we've definitely looked at before. They say that it is a credible contemporary interpretation of a classic news face. You can see that it has very dramatic changes between thick and thin strokes. It has display weights. It also has some nice weights that are good in contrast, and then some weights that were re-engineered from scratch for comfortable reading, which is nice. So then you can actually even bring it down. So you have both display, and you also have the idea that you're able to then kind of create body copy with it, which is always good, because then if you're designing something, you can stick all to one existing kind of letter form and all the same typeface here, which is exciting. It would work well for editorial design. It works well for magazines, for newspapers, for things that you want to be able to really kind of create something with credibility, academic sense, maybe just something where you kind of want to have the idea that you know what you're talking about, and that is also taken seriously, and maybe kind of like with a tie, maybe something a little bit more blue collar or something, not blue collar, white collar, and that is a Brill. So check it out. Next up, we have Program, and I chose this because this reminded me of the Public Theater in New York City. Like I said, very New York focused day to day, but especially with how they kind of laid out Program. It doesn't always have that irregularity of the width of each letter. That's just kind of them showing all the different spots. But this was designed by Zuzana Licco from Amigure, which we've also looked at. I feel like we look at a lot of the same foundries, but I always really like the foundries. And it's mixing round edges with sharp edges, which is cool. And so that it has some really cool, like, interesting relationships here. Like you can see here with this M that like the bottom is really rounded, but the top kind of has these strong, sharp turns, and then also like the bottom of the M and the sides also. So it adds a lot of character that you don't necessarily see. Like normally something goes fully round or fully harsh. And this would work really well in branding and editorial. It is something where if you like want to like really have someone look at something for a while and have a second look, I think that that's going to work. I think that obviously as a sans serif, this has high legibility from all different sizes, both thick and thin, also condensed and kind of widened. And it definitely works well as like a big family with lots of personality. Obviously, though, maybe something that feels a little bit more playful and loud, because it's very, very loud. And then finally, our goofy font of the week is Syncopa. It's designed by Fernanda Cozy from Cozy, and it is has 3 different weights that we have here, which are all named after different women, I believe. And yes, I think everything in hers is actually a different woman to be able to then have kind of as like a feminist statement and movement and homage to women as makers. And the idea is that it has the 3 different weights to it. It is a high contrast display serif. It's very expressive. It has lots of these kind of like wonky edges and sides and weights and stuff that really give a lot of personality to it. I could really see this as event posters. It could probably be used in display headlines, branding, things that are used at really large sizes. I mean, if you put it in all caps and stuff, you can really definitely still use it in small sizes, but I think that a lot of its character and love come when you have it and you're able to see the details, right? This is when you want your headline to feel like it has something to say and it's a little sassy. So this is Syncopa. So she's a sassy lady font. And how are we looking at time? So I got like 5 minutes left. So while you guys continue to vote on the font of the week, did we go through this? Oh, we have. You guys want to do resources or hyperlinks? I feel like resources is more helpful for you guys than hyperlinks. So while you guys continue to vote on that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to switch over to resources. This is coming from Jacob Crenell or Crahell. I'll go ahead. I'll pull it up so you guys can see his name in full. Here, and he is a design engineer and interfere. He recently did this really cool article that says details that make interfaces feel better. He says great interfaces rarely come from a single thing. It's usually a collection of small things that compound into a great experience. Below are a few small details that I use to make my interfaces feel better. And even if you're not a UI UX designer, these are things that I think can apply to motion design. They can apply to graphic design in general. I think they're just ways of being able to explore fun details and see how things are also shifting. You can see here that he starts off with things like text wrapping, and you can change with the width here, where you can see the wrap makes it so that like, yeah, there is the kind of this space here where it continues to then wrap around. But then when you have balanced, it's going to make it a much better rag and make it so that it's not as goofy and off the side. So just being able to kind of see shapes, kind of draw shapes around your text in your mind, or even physically if you need to. You can even hide and show the guides. And then you're able to see how the one on the left looks a little bit messier than the one on the right. There's also things that we've talked about, I know, like the concentric border radius, which is showing you that like just because you have 12 rounded on this size doesn't mean that you should have 12 rounded on the next size. It's actually using this formula that's pretty easy, which is the outer radius is the inner radius plus the padding. So if you have, 12 and then, you have 8 points of padding, then your next one should be 20, and it's just going to feel a lot cleaner. It's going to feel a lot more cohesive, and it looks better than just like, yes, this is uniformity, but this has visual uniformity, which is different than maybe your numbers. He also even has a thing here where you can mess with the padding, and it will then automatically change the other two values, or like the inner radius or the outer radius, which is cool. He shows how there is different ways you can use motion to then be able to really add some really interesting effects here. So maybe not just like flipping it, and maybe not just like switching it, but using things all together to switch it out. Talking about anti-aliasing for different stuff, being able to align your numbers so that they're not jumping around as much if they're climbing up or moving, so it doesn't mess with it. Animations, how they move and they're interruptible. It's a really great resource. And yes, it gets into code, it gets into stuff, but even when you're just like flipping things around, it is something that you can learn from, and it has a lot of fun to be able to add to your other designs. So once again, that is coming to us from this designer, and his name, oops, we're just going to minimize actually, is Jacob Krehel. So shout out to him and thank him for the wonderful resource. I will post this hyperlink in the Discord for you because we're out of time, and it's just a fun little website that lets you rewind the web and learn about the history of the internet and how it's changed over the years. And since we're talking about how messy and changey and weird the internet is becoming, I think now is a better time than ever to learn about like where we were and now where we are and how we got here and what's changing. Clever's asking which one that they should vote for Font of the Week, because we do have to declare a winner here. We have like 30 seconds left. So I'm going to go ahead and give you 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to end this poll. And the winner of this week's Font of the Week belongs to Syncopa. And the cat is in the way. I have put in so many precautions to get you out of the way. Font of the Week goes to Syncopa. Congratulations to Syncopa. That will also be present in the raindrop, which you guys will have access to. It'll be in the Font of the Week area. You can see the other two here, and we'll put that in the Font of the Week winners, where then you can peruse all the other winners from previous episodes. Guys, we will be back next week, same time, same place. My name is Ryan Selvy. Follow me on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. We'd love to see you there. People are saying Roscoe's investing in file now. I have these things all over my desk right now. Like no exaggeration, like 6 of them. Oh, you probably guys can't even see them because I'm so tiny on the screen. But literally these things, they're plastics. They don't hurt him, but they're here so that he doesn't get around. And he's like sitting on the plant so that he can still try to get on screen. Anyway, coming up next is CA in LA. Make sure you stick around. Thank you guys for being here. I'm Ryan Selvy. Follow me on definitely on YouTube. Please definitely follow me on YouTube. I'm trying to build that up. So I'll see you guys all real soon. Thanks for being here. Take care. Thanks for watching. I'm still here because I forgot that I turned that off. Go watch CA in LA. Get out of here. Nobody wants that.